Hello and welcome back to another video. So I do have another Threads topic to discuss today. So hopefully you've been enjoying these. Definitely stick around. I have a good one for you today. So we are talking about AI in the literary sphere and how that's kind of had an effect, the ethics behind it, etc. So this one kind of starts in one spot and kind of takes me down another little rabbit hole. So let's just get started with the beginning of this. This starts with a Threads user called L Sprinkle Author, and she says your favorite second chance romance books and go. A user named Pixie Bookshelf says here with a heart, and it says an origin story novella, Sunrise Ranch. It has a bunch of the tropes, available now, Kindle Unlimited, ebook, paperback. And Elle replies to this AI cover with the face that's like sideways. Pixie Bookshelf is like, no, and in any case, you're an author. You shouldn't make assumptions about other writers without knowing the facts. And you shouldn't judge a book by its cover instead of its story. As a reader, I'll make sure to never read one of your books. First of all, we all judge books by their covers every single time we look at a book. Otherwise, how would we ever decide what to read? You can't be in a bookstore and pick up every single book to read the back and make sure you'd like it. So yes, covers are important. It's not just there for fun. Like, it's supposed to tell you something about the book. I know if I see a book with like dragons and fairies on the front, I don't want to read it. That's not the kind of books that I veer towards, and I don't need to waste my time reading the back when I see the cover and know that it's not for me. Carrying on. Elle says, LOL, okay. The cover is very obviously generative AI, and I simply don't support art theft. Feel free not to read my work. That's okay with me. And then another commenter named Dead Spouse says, the author in question can't even spell a 3-letter word right. Pass. So I found this because Elle had posted it as a separate thing on her account where she said, LOL, how will I ever go on? And it was putting those images of the ones I just read you. So someone else comments, I need help. LOL, how do you know it's an AI cover? And she says, so this style is notoriously AI. However, be careful not to go off just style, as there are artists who draw in this style. The most obvious tell is if you look closely at his hands, the rope is protruding from his fingers where he is supposedly holding it, and the proportion of her arm on the other side of her body is off. Her forearm is extremely long in comparison to the top part of her arm, and the eyes are void of life, which I just found a very funny thing to say. Then she says, I know not everyone can see AI art, and I myself have fallen victim to it, but to double down after with an even if it is, this is not the profile for that, babe. Bye. And someone said, not the age gup and bosses dagged her. And let's take a second to go back and look at the cover itself. So yes, the cover is AI, and we will move on from that. But making one of these cute little, like, I don't know, things that romance authors like to do where it has all these tropes around it, well, this person didn't even spell check it, because we have age gup, we have bosses dagter, there's no U in daughter. First of all, I mean, personal preference, I'm really tired of these kind of graphics. They're overdone. I'm sick of them. But that's me. Anyways, that's kind of embarrassing. Don't put that stuff out there if you don't have, like, spell check. I mean, those aren't difficult words to spell either. So then we've got another example of someone who was like, the AI used on all her marketing materials is so obvious too. Like, WTF is this? And you kind of can tell pretty easily. I don't feel 100% sure what the bottom one is, because it looks like a shadow, but maybe not. And then, yeah, this like weird shirt thing. I don't know what's going on there. And I feel like these are things that maybe at first glance you wouldn't, like, they wouldn't look funny, but all you need to do is look for like a good 3-4 seconds and you're like, okay. So we just have a few more funny things to say. This woman, Ink Marked Muse, says, I want the origin story for why his hat is so small. Does he turn into a villain for all the relentless bullying from all the other cowboys? Did someone steal his big boy hat and that's the beginning of his origin story? Is it so small because it's actually hers and it's a big age gup, whatever that is? Be so fucking for real with this shit, y'all. As a reader, I'll make sure to never read one of your books. STFU, it's AI and it's wrong, case closed. Gotta agree. Another user said, I don't judge a book by its cover, I judge by the author. And if the author is supporting, I judge the author. And if the author is supporting bad things, who cares if the book is good? It's probably not, though, because you can't be asked to get a cover. I doubt the writing's quality is any better. So we have a little investigation station going on here. Haley J. Reeds says, okay, so I did some digging. I borrowed the book from KU long enough to find the cover design attribution. Long story short, the cover designer appears to be her romantic partner, who is a gamer by trade or hobby. Literally nowhere on either of the public IG pages associated with this person does it have anything to do with art. Doesn't even show the cover being made, like, hey, look at this thing I made. Like, we know it's AI, for sure. But it's not even good AI from one of the AI artists. We get some more, making fun of the misspellings. And then we've got laughing at the cover artist thinking, this really needs a horse's butt in the background to balance them out. And we sure do have a little horse's butt right in the middle of their romantic moment. Another response to this says, what's her hand doing then? And the lasso just resting on top of his hand? What? And why isn't he looking at her? Valid questions. She says, real classy to block people so they can't reply, then create fake profiles to trash other authors, super professional. That bit, I don't know. I told you, Threads, there's like, it's hard to get it in like a linear form, so I'm doing my best. And then this person comes back and says, babe, my Instagram is connected to my account. It takes 2 seconds to see that I'm not an author. You want to acknowledge my comment now? The cover is very obviously AI. And she says, anyway, this is my last comment on the matter because I have no interest in talking to people who just want to spread hate. I follow the artist who created it on Instagram, and even if it wasn't made by a professional artist, I'm a reader and I love reading. I admire artists, but I judge stories, not paintings in the Louvre. And if an indie author or any author can't afford to hire an artist, everyone else should just mind their business because this is about writing, not drawing. And this person says, except if an author is willing to use AI in a cover, that means I can't trust them to not use AI in their writing, and I have no interest in consuming AI slop. You don't need an extravagant cover if your work holds up on its own. And BTW, the reader shtick doesn't work well when the only thing you ever do is recommend the same 2 books from the same author. At least get a list of actual recs going. What was that you said about blocking people from applying being unprofessional? I'm guessing that that's what happened right there. Can't be certain. In her comment, basically saying like you're only ever recommending the same 2 books to everyone, I did some small digging of my own, and wow, she is correct. So I'm going to show you some examples. I did a little screen record so that you could see like just how bad it is. So just like watch this. It's that time again where I buy and add a ton of books to my Kindle. What are your must-reads? She puts this book with these same little things. Scrolling down, book recommendations. We're going on vacation. If you like cowboy romance, I have an indie author to recommend. Does anyone have any book recommendations for cowboy romances? Another one. Looking for book recs to download from KU. If you like cowboy romance, I'm supporting indie authors, blah, blah, blah. Spicy book readers, give me some. I'm in my cowboy era. Drop me all of the recs. I'm on the hunt to add to my TBR. Well, if you like cowboy romance, blah, blah, blah. Cowboy romance besties. Dusty is a cowboy novella. Like, they just keep going. She clearly just like searched like book threads, cowboys, something in the search bar and just spammed every single post she could with this, which I mean is weird. I can't imagine using that much of my time to do something like this when I didn't like have to. And so I get that we're all different people, okay? So I'm not shaming her for that. That's awesome that she wants to support this author she really likes. I just find it a little suspect that she is spamming people to death with this. And I do want to point out that you can see on here 2 days ago, she posted that it was her first thread. So she's literally joined Threads and spent the entirety of the 2 days she's been on it talking about this book. And I just find that strange. And You know, I definitely don't want to accuse anyone of anything because this is purely speculation, so please don't come after me. But I find it really hard to get out of my head the idea that perhaps this is the author in a different account. Because that is all that she's done is post first thread, here a bookish girl. OMG, we are 1K book besties on my Bookstagram. And then, why do people spread hate? Sharing positive vibes is so much better, blah, blah, blah. Like, and that was 2 days ago, 1 day ago, and then 14 hours ago. So I'm guessing that she went there after people were like giving her some backlash on all of the AI stuff. And honestly, I can't believe that no one's giving her backlash on spamming everybody. I also find it interesting that, yes, I know I just said she's only been on here for 2 days, but she hasn't reposted anything that this author has posted. And looking over at the author's page, she's posted quite a bit. There is a lot on here for her to go back and repost because, in my opinion, that's how people see stuff more when you're new. Like, think about how many people see your Instagram posts when someone puts it in their story. So that's kind of how I feel like this is similar. If somebody puts it in their story or reshares it or whatever, they're going to see it and they're going to like see, oh, maybe I should follow that person. So I just don't know about all this. I just think it's a little wild how much this person lead into this, which is separate fully from the whole AI thing, to be quite honest. It just went a different direction. But I honestly, I just can't understand why you would use the excuse of like, well, not everyone can afford a cover artist. And I definitely don't want to like feel like I'm gatekeeping something I'm not even a part of, but you know, when you're going to self-publish a book that there are expenses you will have to cover, like basically all of them. So this includes editing, this includes like having readers, ARC readers, beta readers, whatever, to help you work out plot stuff. This includes cover design. This includes like so many other little things. And that's just kind of something you need a budget for. Like, again, I'm not an author, so I don't want to like speak out of turn, but I mean, I don't feel like a cover is somewhere you should want to cut corners. And if you need to like save up to be able to afford that, then that's what you should do. I mean, I feel like you can go on Etsy and purchase like pre-made covers that would work for your book, and then you can always change it later if you find you want to use that money for a new cover that might be more original and is your own. I really just don't see how this could be rationalized in a way that like makes sense. I don't know. Authors are out here getting their like actual words stolen because they're being fed into AI. And to me, I mean, this is doing the exact same thing but to artists. So I just really, and they look terrible, guys. They do. I mean, that's not to say that people who do this style are terrible, but like people who actually physically draw this don't give the humans 6 fingers. You know what I mean? They make their arms proportionate. Last thing, this is, not the exact same situation, but it's closely related enough, also dealing with AI. So this user, Kel's Books 24, said, first you messaged me asking if I want to read your book, which I'm not a fan of, but it is what it is. It can be a little annoying. However, when I was sent the link for the book, I noticed the cover looked like AI, which for the record, I am against. Sorry, I like for real people to make a graphic or design for me. So I asked. Second, I'm not sure you understand the difference between technological advances and AI. Yes, one is used for growth, while the other steals from hardworking, living, breathing people. And so then we get a little close up on these messages. I did have one question. Did you use AI for your covers? Yes, I used AI to produce the design, and then I did the editing with the font and combining 2 images together. So yes, she just slapped some font on there. Thank you. However, I'm not a fan of AI as it takes away from the hardworking designers and artists. Fair enough, that is one perspective, and everyone is free to have one. AI is a tool that some people know how to use and others choose not to. There is also a significant cost to designers and artists that other artists can't afford, so there are alternatives to help them break the barriers of certain industries. Everyone has a valid point of view, and everyone is free to their opinion. I choose to do it as it is a hobby, and I didn't have an additional 10K to spend on a hobby. Another way to look at it, I guess. So she comes back and says, while I understand you feel it's a hobby and that you shouldn't have to pay someone for their artwork because you can't afford it, using AI is a slap in the face to all the artists, designers, etc. that put in the work and have it stolen by these AI programs so you can have your cover. They say, you know that you use AI every day without even realizing it, right? Every aspect of technology that you use further the growth and evolution of technology. When you use an app to order food, well, you just took away someone's job and well-being, and there's hundreds of more examples along those lines. Like I said, I respect that you have your opinion. I don't have to agree with it, especially if you really did deeper and you see how you are actually doing what you're fighting against inadvertently. And just like society and technology made advances to make weavers and looms obsolete, designers and artists will also have to adapt and or find their niche. It's the reality of the world that neither you and I could change. Like, kind of an out there response. I mean, it feels like that person is very much like reaching for anything to make this make sense. But plenty of people came back with this. So, Little Angelic Rose says there's a middle ground. If an author can't afford a designer, does that mean they shouldn't publish their writing? Or publish with a blank white cover because that's all they could afford, as I have seen? What should they do? They have no money, but you want them to stay that way because you don't like their cover? Personally, I had a designer create an image of my main character. AI did a better job and uncovered an aspect I hadn't considered. I might not have the greatest, like, graphics, whatever is, on my YouTube, but I did them all myself, okay? I'm not saying that they're, like, super top-notch high quality, but Canva works wonders. I have made stuff that I'm, like, really proud of, and I feel like with templates and different fonts and different whatever over there, you can make something original and cheap, if not free. So I just don't really feel like this is an excuse. It feels like I understand the temptation to, because you're like, oh, I don't have much money and I want this to be perfect. But like, there's a little, it's not, I get it. I do. It's just not something I feel like is really moral. So Kel's book says, I'm sorry, but using AI in any form is ethically wrong, especially when these AI programs have stolen artwork in order to build the database. The price range for covers is quite large. If someone is ready to publish their hard work, I would think they would have money set aside for their cover design. And the biggest thing to me in that one, especially when these AI programs have stolen artwork in order to build the database. Exactly. AI doesn't just pull things out of thin air. Someone has to like feed it to the AI machine to get this to happen. So this is not a victimless crime, is what I'm saying, I guess. And so Little Angelic Rose says, it is rather arrogant to assume that everyone has the same disposable income you presumably have, or else you wouldn't say that. To tell someone you can't publish unless you have 1K put aside for a book cover designer to someone who has no money but lots of dreams and a half-decent book, it is elitism. Like, I just gave you options. And this is me sitting down for like 30 minutes trying to come up with some ideas. And I'm sure that actual like indie writers, groups, etc. would have far better ideas than I just gave. But I mean, like, you just got a budget. And it's not to say you can't publish your book, but like, I'm talking in circles. Anyways. Kel's book says it screams entitlement when just because you didn't save the funds to pay for a designer and steal artwork by using AI. I'm glad you think you know me enough to make assumptions. However, I will continue to stick to my ethical and moral principles. Little Angelic Rose says it isn't stealing under UK copyright. Assuming you are in the UK, there's nothing illegal. And assuming a database is there to access, the immoral bit has already happened and already being accessed. The human designer isn't getting anything either way, but might if the author earns enough to pay one. But no, not allowed to earn money. So this is like saying, well, someone already robbed the house of all of this jewelry and expensive things, so it's okay if I just take them because someone else already stole them from their owner. That's the worst argument I've ever heard. Kel's book says, you know what it does to assume. Please do not act like you know me well enough to make assumptions of anything about me. And she says, then don't assume everyone who wants to self-publish has the means to pay for artwork. Some people don't have the cash. Some people may be using this as a way to escape financial abuse and can't spend money on themselves. Some people want to break into self-publishing to put food on the table. Don't assume, don't judge. Again, just because you can't afford something doesn't mean you get to just go take it. Like, this isn't a complicated thing to me. I understand that there could be more nuance to the situation, but like saying that everyone who wants to self-publish has the means to pay for artwork, that doesn't mean that you then go steal artwork or whatever the nonsense AI is coming up with. The rest of that comment, and ask, help, that'd be novel. If you're using generative AI, I'm not assuming there is a database. I'm not assuming anyone has some magical never-ending bank account. What I'm assuming is that you have zero morals or ethics. I'm sorry, but there are numerous ways to design a cover. The author can do it themselves even. Not every cover has to be super elaborate, but please enlighten me on more of your assumptions about me. She says, okay, you asked. From what you posted and I have nothing else to go on, you condemned the author outright without reading the work. I see no evidence you offered any help to the author. Not really her job. She was offered this book unsolicited, and she just stated that she doesn't read it for XYZ reason. Like, that's not something that requires... She's not in any obligation to help this person. I'm not assuming you didn't offer help on cheap or free cover design resources, but I can't see it. So if you did offer help, which would be the kind thing to do, you didn't share that. And if all you said is there, you didn't engage with the author and make them feel threatened... hence their defensive reply. R. Moody author steps in and says, you do realize people were able to publish books before generative AI came on the scene? They made their own covers. They bought less than $50 cheap ones. There are so many avenues. OP doesn't need to help this person who chose to attack OP's intelligence and integrity. They were defensive because they knew they were in the wrong, not because OP was threatening. Get out of here with that. Okay. Little Angelic Rose says, once upon a time, if you wanted to publish a book, you spoke to William Caxton, the guy who, like, brought the printing press to, like, the UK or something. Then Amazon, KDP, and its ilk came along. Then IA meant authors with no resources could create cover art. The world moves on. If you don't agree with AI, educate, don't condemn. Is this the Inquisition? Oh my god. Why are so many people against educating and helping people? You don't like it, do something. R. Moody says, no resources? There are plenty of resources that don't steal from other creatives or ruin the planning. Oh, I am condemning. Acting like being against AI is against education and helping people is certainly a choice. And I am doing something, currently arguing with someone who's on their high horse right now, actually, which I found funny. Little Angelic Rose comes back. It says, no high horse, I assure you. I come at this from a different angle. You condemn, you've said so. I help, I advise, I understand. When I review, I give tools to allow my authors to do it for themselves. I encourage, I highlight the good. I suggest, I never condemn, I never dictate. I may step away, but where there is a difference of opinion, but I try to never offend. And I never publicly expose, not my style. Armady says, you're amazing. Wow, how does it feel to be so much better than us? The people that condemn the usage of generative AI because of gestures around. Anywho, I wouldn't waste my time or breath on people that have used AI on their covers and possibly written the book, because clearly they have already made up their mind. There are way better books out there. And that is where I leave you for today. So, what do you think about AI in the literary realm, in books, writing? I mean, book covers. I feel like I probably know where everyone's going to lean, because all of us are readers, and we know that we want to see this stuff being made by humans, but, you know, you could have a different opinion on the covers. I don't know. I really can't see how this would be a better option than other things I've mentioned, other things that actual authors have maybe suggested to people. And I also don't think that if you approach someone and say, hey, you want to read my book? They say, hey, I don't like this cover because it's AI. They say, well, here's why AI is okay. And this person says, well, no thanks. I don't think they get to be mad at her. Not that the author was, I guess, but that this, like, other person came in and was like, why didn't you educate her? Literally not anyone's job. So, like I said, gonna leave you there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I have told you lots of mine, and yeah. So if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!